Welcome everyone to episode 55 of the Missing Pieces podcast. If this is your first time watching or listening, as this is available everywhere the podcasts are available, my name's Greg, and this is where I sit down and I discuss my life, LEGO, and anything else that's on my mind each week. And this week I have a little bit of everything to discuss with you, but before we get into that, I have some Patreon thank yous to give out, and those thank yous go out to Harrison, Joshua, and David. Thank you guys so much for your support. I appreciate you supporting not only this podcast, but the channel. If anyone else would like to join us on Patreon, which is a huge help, the link is down below. You can see the benefits there. It's a really awesome community, and I would love to have you as a part of it. But on that, let's get into this week, which unfortunately didn't start off on a very strong note. I think I mentioned in last week's episode that our chocolate lab Roxy, or Roxy Bear as she's known in some circles, she started this week off very sick. Last week, she went to the vet, and it turns out she had another staph infection and also an ear infection, kind of related to each other, as a result of a possible allergy. This is the third time that she's been going through this, and every single time we give her antibiotics, and it just seems to keep coming back. And in this case, she was taking antibiotics, and she was taking a steroid for the infection in her ears called prednisone, which will come up a little bit later in the story. But this whole entire week that she's been on these pills, she has been drinking water endlessly. And it's like a little alarming, like violently drinking water. Every time you fill her bowl up, she would be lapping the water up. You fill it up again, she drinks it all. You fill it up again, she drinks it all. To the point where she was actually peeing on the floor of our house, which is something she barely even did when she was a puppy. And it really got me scared. And she was throwing up. Like every time we'd feed her, she'd throw up. And the most frustrating thing, I guess, is that like 85% of our first floor is all hardwood floors. And like every time she has to throw up on the rug that's in our living room. And it's just like, oh God. But luckily she had a follow-up appointment on Tuesday to go back out to the vet. And we took her out. And I was like, yeah, this is happening. Like she can't get enough to drink. In fact, we were limiting her water at nighttime because I was worried like she would drink all this water before bed, then pee in our carpet in our living or in our bedroom. And I explained this all to him, and he was like, you know what it is? It's the prednisone. It's the steroid that she's taken for the inflammation in her ears. That's causing her to have these issues. So we basically cut her off of that. He wanted to cut her meds back to like half a pill a day or something like that. But I was just like, it's just not working because we tried that, and she still kept throwing up. So not only was she not getting enough to eat, but she's drinking, and then it was bad. But she's doing much better now. As soon as we took her off that and just kept her on the other antibiotics that she's taking for the staph infection, she's clearing up really well. She's back to her old self. She's playing outside. She's getting frisky again. So that made me feel good. So that was kind of like a sour start, but got resolved fairly quickly. And I was happy to not have her having any issues anymore. And so far she seems to be good, but I'll keep you updated on that. She has another appointment on October 27th where I think they're going to look and just make sure like everything is a-okay, and it should be. So that's how the week started, but it's all up from there because after that, the other big thing that happened this week, well, I'm trying to decide which order I want to do this in. I guess this came up first. This is some speculation here and some decision making that I need to do, and that's schools possibly returning to 5 days a week. You guys all know, I think most of you probably know, that our school is running a hybrid system where there's kids that go on Monday and Wednesdays, and then the other group of kid goes on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and then Friday is completely off. No one goes on Friday. That's a remote day. So most kids, or I would say the vast majority of kids, probably like 80 to 90% of kids, are only going to school 40% of the time. The other 60% of the time they're doing remote learning, and they're doing this in order to keep the, I guess, social distancing happening. And it's worked pretty well for most kids. I know some kids like Clark Man, they do remote. And the reason that we did remote is because I assumed that by this time in the year, there would be no more in school anything. I thought, you know what, these kids are all going to go back to school. They're all going to spread COVID, or Chima as it's known, amongst each other, and then they're going to shut the schools down. Everyone's going to be home. So I thought, let's just skip that step with Clark Man. He'll stay home with me since I have the ability to be home. Not something a lot of parents have. Like most people, they work full-time jobs, the husband and wife or whatever. And the kid, like you can't just leave a 5-year-old home to do remote schooling. You'd have to find a babysitter, or you'd have to have him in daycare or something along those lines during those other days. And that can be very costly, right? Like it's not cheap to have a babysitter, even if it's only 3 days a week. I decided, well, let's just keep Clark home. We'll do the remote learning. I've been documenting that whole experience on my vlogging channel, and hopefully you guys have been enjoying those videos. I feel like it's some of the best work that I've done on YouTube is the videos and stories that I'm crafting over there on a daily basis. These are like 15 to 20 minute videos. It takes a lot of time and effort to make them, but I love making them. And for my video time capsule, which is my ultimate goal on all these channels, is it's just like, it's like putting gold into it. And I just love it. But that all being said, our school is now considering going back to 5 days a week. There's only been supposedly a total of 4 cases that have been reported of CHIMA. And it seems in the other schools in the area, they're all going 5 days a week. Our school was one of the ones that was kind of like, yeah, maybe we shouldn't. And now they're like, yeah, maybe we should. And I don't know if that's because of the fact that there haven't really been any cases, or if it's the pressure from parents, like I was saying earlier, where they're like, well, my kid needs to go to school. I know in some cases, a lot of the kids aren't doing the remote work. So the stuff that they're supposed to be doing, like on the 3 days they're not at school, they're not doing that. Kids are failing because of that. So it's almost like these kids need that discipline to actually be in school and have a teacher there babysitting them. Because, should I say this? I won't say it. Well, I'll say it. This is missing pieces. Schools are oftentimes like a free babysitter for parents, because parents don't do what parents are supposed to do, which is like, if I wasn't doing remote with Clark, I would still be like, hey man, did you get your work done? What do you have going on here? Let's take a look. I don't know if that works when your kid's like 14 years old. I don't know if you still have that relationship where you can be like, all right, get your Chromebook out. Let's see what we have going on here. But I don't know. Like, I feel like parents should be involved a little more. Not that I'm judging, and not that I could say I can do any better, but these kids should be getting their work done, and maybe they're not. But I do feel bad for the parents that are doing everything they can. But it's like, this kid's got to go to school 5 days, because this daycare is killing me. Like, it's taking all of our money to send them. So I understand like the pressure from parents and the fact that the school is trying to do the right thing for everybody. We have a decision to make. They sent out a survey that was like, this is what we're considering. If we make the change to 5 days a week, what is your plan? Because Clark is technically grandfathered in, considering he's already in remote. He could potentially do remote for the rest of the school year. But my concern with that, like, I love that idea, because this year for me, it's kind of like borrowed time. Last year was supposed to be the end of my journey with Clark on a like full-time basis. And he was supposed to go to school. We were, of course, going to have the afternoons together and the evenings. There was going to be this renaissance here on brickitect where I just go crazy here in the studio with all this free time that I have every day. And that really didn't happen thus far because of Clark doing the remote thing. Like, my days are focused on us together and the learning process, and that's what the videos have been. But we have the choice now. We've always had this choice, but it's something that we've been considering even more. Should Clark go to the 5 day a week school schedule along with most of the other kids? Because I mean, there's different competing factors here. There's the fact, like the selfish thing, which is I really would like Clark home with me, and I love going on adventures together and all the things we do. I love that so much, and I'm desperate for that extra year. And the fact that he'll have 12 more years after this makes that decision like that much bigger for me and like easier for me, I guess. But then I think about the learning that he's actually getting and the schooling that he's getting through these Zoom calls, and it's not very good, right? Like, it's basically watching a lecture almost, because everyone's on mute. You're just watching the teacher. She does her lesson, which is very short, and then he goes on and does the assignments and stuff. And I'd say within like 1 hour, we're pretty much done with school for the day. And in addition to that, some of the stuff is just YouTube videos. Like, most of what this remote learning has been, and I don't know if it's because of the quality of the teachers. I'm not going to comment on that, because I couldn't teach any better than any of these people do. But a lot of it just seems like they're curating YouTube videos. Like, our lessons for the day are to watch like 3 YouTube videos. I'm just like, is this what it's supposed to be? Like our phys ed, like kids have phys ed even if they're remote. You would think that it would be the teacher on video being like, okay, today we're going to, I don't know, skip. Today we're going to run. We're going to jump rope. Try this stretching thing. No, she just takes like 3 or 4 YouTube videos and puts them in as an assignment. And our assignment then is to report back what our favorite thing was. And to me, that isn't learning. Not to say that phys ed is learning, but I feel like a lot of these teachers are kind of half-assing it. Pardon my language, but that's kind of how I feel. And even like I'm just not satisfied with it. But is kindergarten that important, right? Like, is what Clark is learning, he's learning, and that's fine. And maybe it only takes an hour a day to learn these things. But it's the socialization that I really wanted Clark to go to school for. There's a lot of things about school that worry me with kids. and what school teaches kind of worries me. Not the material they're teaching, but what they're teaching outside of that, which we've talked about before, and I won't get in here, as far as they want you to kind of fall in line and be an employee. And I don't want that kind of life for Clark, man, if he doesn't have to do that or want to do that. What I want for him is to be around other 5-year-olds and 6-year-olds and have that socialization and see what other kids are like and what they're doing, and get like a buddy, get like a BFF, you know? I remember being like 4 or 5, and I went to daycare and then kindergarten, and I had like a best friend. I think all of us have like that best bud or whatever, and I want that for Clark. It's not normal to be your dad, be your best friend. But I don't know. I don't know what to do. Do we send him the 5 days? We could. It'd be easy to do. Or do we keep him home? Will going to this 5-day schedule, where basically all the social distancing that they're doing now is all going to be eradicated, and it's just going to be kids with masks on. Will that change things? I don't know. Maybe it's all going to go back to remote. Maybe we should just send him so he can get a taste of it. But kindergarten, and that's the frustrating thing for me, is kindergarten is such a special year. It's like a year of fun, you know? Your kindergarten year is probably the most fun year you're going to have in school, and Clark is kind of missing that. But we're having a lot of fun on like the outside, the outside of the system. I talked about this a little bit on Patreon on Friday night on our stream, and they said, well, what does Clark want to do? What's he want to do? And it come to me that I never really asked him what he wanted to do. So I asked him last night before bed, I said, you know, school's thinking about going back to 5 days. Would you want to go to school, or do you want to stay home with me? And his answer was that he wanted to stay home with me, which I appreciate, but is he only saying that because that is all he knows? Or is it because all the fun stuff we do? And his vision of school is sitting at a computer and watching a teacher and then doing assignments. I think a lot of people would be like, yeah, I'd rather stay home with my dad and play Lego or go shopping at Target or running RC trucks. Like, we're kind of keeping summer alive all the way through October here. I don't know, man. I need a crystal ball. I need a magic 8-ball. I need to know what's the best decision to make. Do you guys ever wish that you could talk to yourself in the future and be like, what do I do here? What do I do? Like, not even asking for like the sports almanac from 1950 to 2000, just asking them like for these big decisions. Even this isn't really that big, but just decisions that you make in your life and you're kind of split on, like, wouldn't it be nice just to be like, future self, what advice do you have for me? I don't know. We're up in the air. I still haven't decided. I'm curious to hear your feedback on it. What do you think about this situation? I've got a 5-year-old. He's home with me. He's learning. We're having a lot of fun. We're enjoying it. Is it worth it to send him back so he could have the socialization and maybe a little bit better schooling at the sacrifice of our time together? I want to say that it is, but I feel like I'm coming from like a selfish place where I want to keep him with me because I love the little guy, you know? I know a lot of you guys do too, and I appreciate that, but I don't know. Decisions to make. I'll follow up with you guys here next week. We're going to be thinking about this over the next week and trying to figure out what we should do. The other thing that just really I keep thinking about is the fact that he still has 12 more years ahead of him past this. Even if we stayed home this entire year and Chima was eradicated in 2021, he still has 12 more years to do all the things that I just mentioned. Maybe we should just soak this in. Just soak it in and enjoy that last little bit. Like, I've already drank everything out of the cup, and now there's like a little drop in the bottom. I'm trying to get that last little bit out. It's where I'm at right now. Stay tuned. Well, I'll keep you updated on that. Let's talk about some Lego now. I know some of you guys, you expect this to be a Lego podcast for some reason. Maybe it's because I talk about my life Lego and anything else that's on my mind. Occasionally there's no Lego, but this week we got in some Lego this week, boys. And the first thing was Clark, man, is back into Lego Super Mario. I've made a whole video whole podcast about this in the past, I feel like, where I mentioned how Clark loves this theme. It was a theme that I wasn't overly stoked about because I wanted minifigs of the Lego characters. I wanted the Micro Fighter versions of Mario Kart. You know, I want the things that all you guys want, but nonetheless, we got these Mario courses with the Mario that you can dress up, and he has special features and stuff. You guys know how it works. Clarky ended up getting a little bit of a haul this week. They came out with that Toad's Special Hideaway, I think is what it's called. It was a $20 set that wasn't supposed to come out to all of us peasants, but it did. So I was like, I'm going to get that. And Clark has been just going crazy with this Mario figure, not even building courses, just going crazy with the figure, taking him around the house and playing with him and taking his clothes off, demonetized. But we had the Builder Mario and he had the regular one. He switches them out and plays with them like crazy. So I was like, okay, let's get the rest of the suits. So we got him the cat suit, the propeller suit, and the fire suit. as well as the Toads thing, and then we made a video on that, which I was such a fun video to make. That's one of my favorite videos I think that we've made, because it showed what it's like not only to get like a haul of Lego, which I love to share, of course, and lots of people like seeing hauls, but like the experience of building that stuff and then enjoying it. I love sharing the enjoyment of Lego more than just reviewing it. Like I could show you this, which is going to be the next topic that we're talking about here. I could show you a Batmobile that's in progress here, right? And you're like, oh yeah, that thing's pretty cool, and I see how it works. But what's it like to truly enjoy a Lego set? To see what it's meant to do, not just to be on display, but to play with. And I feel like having a 5-year-old in my videos has like taken me down that path, and I love it so much. So we had a great time making a video. It was almost a 30-minute video. I think it took me a long time to edit that up. But it showed our whole experience with it. So if you want to watch that, it's just a couple videos before this. If you want to see me and Clark just go to town with this set, it's a good theme, guys. If you've been on the fence about Lego Super Mario because it's expensive, which it is, if you like to play with Lego stuff and you have a love of Mario, I think it's a great theme to get into. And the replayability, Clark plays with those sets more than any other set that we own. So if I'm looking at a 100-piece set that costs $20, what's the difference if I spend $20 on a 100-piece set that gets played with 4 times the amount of time that a $20 set at 200 pieces gets played with? I know this math is getting complicated here. I'm just saying it's not all about the piece counts. It's about the enjoyment level, and that the enjoyment that I see Clark getting from these things is it's there. It's worth it. So, but that's just me speaking from an adult with a child. If you're also an adult that you think you're just going to build it and look at it, I don't know if I'd recommend these sets to you necessarily. But we're getting back into it. In fact, even on Friday, we got 2 more sets. It's getting out of hand. I think we're just going all in. I'm committing to it now. We're going to get all the Mario sets, but over time, because as I mentioned, it's a little expensive. So you'll see a video probably tomorrow actually, of the 2 new sets that we got on Friday at Target. And then you'll see the vlog of us getting those sets this coming Friday on Greg's World. So everything is kind of out of order here. Like you're finding out about something that I did yesterday, but you won't see it till tomorrow. But then you'll see us getting this stuff Friday. It's like quantum leap over here. So that was fun. In addition to that little setup there, I also have started building the Batmobile, which I just showed you and I just knocked a piece off of. I'm going to put that back on. If you're listening to this, you're not going to be able to see this, but I've got a substantial amount of the Batmobile built. I guess I finished 6 bags, so I'm about a quarter of the way through. It's not necessarily done by any means, as you can see here if you're watching, but there's a lot left to do, and I plan to continue rocking this out. In fact, this afternoon, after I'm done with this podcast, I'm going to be doing a live stream where I build this up even more, and I'm doing this with my friends and stuff, so that's been really amazing. And while I'm doing this, Clarkman is defeating the backlog. Yesterday, he built, I'll show you the little build that he did, and I'll probably make a video on this as well. Oh, I just knocked the front of it off. And again, I apologize if anyone's listening to this because you're not going to be able to know what I'm showing, but Clarky built a little Batmobile, and he did a fantastic job with that. I was like super triggered with this set though at the end. I was on my live stream, it was like the final hour, and I literally spent like 15 minutes looking through the manual to try to find out where this tan little hinge piece went. I'm like, why is this left over and where does it go? So I was endlessly searching for that as everyone's chatting and talking and stuff. And then I was just like, hey guys, do you know where this piece goes? And it turns out it's just an extra piece that was included by mistake or something. And that was a little frustrating, but Clarky built that. He also built the War Machine Buster, which is behind me here. And today he plans to do even more building as I'm streaming more of this. So he's killing the backlog, and I appreciate him doing that for me. He's wanted to build like crazy all the time. And I'm getting out of this mentality where I'm always like, no, you can't build that because we got to make a video on it. We got to do a video on that. We got to do a video on that. Why? We don't have to do a video on that. Why don't I just do a video that's like, hey, you see this table of stuff we built? This is all the stuff we built this weekend. In fact, I thought it'd be cool to do a series that's just titled Today I Built, and then have like the set name after it. So Today I Built this, and instead of us showing like the unboxing and the building and all that stuff, let's just build whenever we can, whenever we want. And, live stream some of it, maybe get some videos, do some extra stuff for Patreon, and then just show it off later. Like, you didn't need to see every little aspect of this little Batmobile that Clark built. He had a good time building it. And if I had been in my old mind state where I'm like, no, we got to show the whole experience, it wouldn't even be built. And I feel like that kind of sets us back. And I've had this experience before when I've made someone sneaking into my video. Hey, Clark, you, how long have you been back there?
Yo.
I was just talking to, Clark is making an appearance of Missing Pieces, boys.
Hello.
Come on over here, guy. I like having, we have never had a guest on. Oh, he's bringing his set over. If you're listening to this, this is going to get a little off the rails for a minute. This is a podcast, so you'll have to tell everyone what they're looking at right now, Clark.
They're looking at the Machine Buster.
The Machine Buster?
Yeah.
War Machine Buster?
Yeah.
Wait, is that what it even is? Yeah, War Machine Buster. Clarky's getting me all messed up, but it's a cool little build. I was just talking about how you've been doing a great job building like a madman.
Yeah, and I saw you show the Batmobile.
I saw it. I heard the door open. I thought you were just coming down to see if I was still recording. Were you sneaking down?
I thought you were doing a live stream, and I'm like,
No, I'm not streaming yet. I'll be doing that this afternoon, but I'm just talking to all the Missing Pieces detectors here about like my life, Lego, and anything else that's on my mind. Is there anything on the mind of Clark Man? Come on over here. You can tell him what's on the mind of the Clarkin. What's new in your world?
I built a wood track during your Missing Pieces.
You built a wooden track?
Yeah.
Hey, I was talking about you going back to school. What are your thoughts about going back to school? Do you want to go 5 days, or do you want to stay home with the dad? They have to be able to hear you. It's a podcast.
No.
Why don't you want to go to school 5 days a week?
Because Clarky will miss that.
Miss my Clarky. But we'd still have afternoons and stuff together, and nighttime. We could still read. We could still do different things. But I don't know. I'm trying to do the best thing that I can do for you, my guy. I just don't know what that is. Can you help me? Can you help me?
Can we stay together and do home learning?
We can. We have that choice. Is that what you want to do? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Clarky's made his decision. He wants to stay home and do home learning. I'm going to keep the podcast going here. Clarky might be in the background making a little racket, but that's okay. You guys know what it's like having kids.
Yeah.
I want to talk about my win of the week.
And guess what my win of the week is?
What was your win of the week?
Getting the draw.
Getting to draw? Okay. Clark's win of the week was getting to draw.
This is my worst day of the week.
What's your worst day?
Mom getting sick.
Oh yeah, Mommy's not feeling well right now. It's she has a cold. She's staying home Monday and Tuesday. She's actually going to get tested for COVID. She has like a sinus thing going on. You can never be too cautious with these things, but she's going to be home tomorrow and Tuesday. And that, I'm hoping she doesn't have it. I would be so angry because we've been so careful and we've done everything that you could possibly do. We didn't go anywhere this summer. And then to have her go back to school and then get it there would just be so frustrating. So I'm hoping that she doesn't have it. I'll keep you updated on that as well. Yeah. But that is our loss of the week, I guess. All right, Clark, man, I need to tell them my win of the week. Is that okay if I do that?
Yeah,
my win of the week.
I got something to show you.
Okay.
I'll show you how to open the root. Watch this.
You know this is their favorite part of the stream or the podcast right now, right?
You can open that up with a hinge.
If you're listening to this, Clarkman is opening up the Batmobile roof right now. Here's your Batman that goes with that, my guy. You know everyone's going to say that you should join me on Missing Pieces is what they're probably going to say. Do you mind if I share my win of the week? Is that something that I can do here? Is that a possibility? My win of the week was yesterday's live stream building the Batmobile. And it wasn't because I was building a set. It was because all of my friends joined me on this stream and it was such an awesome time. In fact, I had to upgrade to the premium version of StreamYard just to get everybody in. We had 10 people there yesterday. All of my live streaming buddies joined in. I just loved it so much. It took me back to the quarantine streams, back when Chima first hit and we were streaming every single day and everybody was with us and it was such a good time. And yesterday was like recapturing that. And I just loved it. I loved it so much. I thanked all those guys for joining me. And we've got some new friends that are joining as well from the UK, some UK detectors that I met on Bricks and Brits that are fantastic guys too. And I'm happy to have the circle of people that I have in my life in this Lego universe. It's so good. So that was my one of the week. Clark's one of the week was drawing. What's your one of the week? I'll be sharing that. In fact,
I'm mail eater, and that's why I just spell out mail.
Okay. We're going to go into feedback from last week. We got some wins of the week. We're going to save this for then. You guys know I like to send you guys out on like a positive note here. So let's go into the first discussion, which was last week on feeling special. That's how I started the episode off. And we had Bastion of Bricks comment. Maybe you felt like it was just another week. Nothing changed. Nothing big happened. Greg, that's every week at this point, man. That was my quote that he came back with. On a similar note, DZ Studios says every week feels like a month, and I understand that too, especially earlier this year it felt that way. Next topic, though, it was on digital access. I talked about last week how old should a kid be when you allow them to have technology or a computer or access to the internet? And you guys had a lot to say about that and a lot of really well thought out comments, and I'd like to share those here in this segment of the episode. First one comes from Scott Schaefer, who says, "Hey Greg, it does get scary having so much digital access. I'm a parent of an 8 and 11-year-old, and school has made it near impossible to avoid. It's become a necessary evil for them to stay connected with friends. We watch pretty closely and constantly running into teachable moments, but it's scary out there, and the addiction is real." Dude, I feel that comment so much. Similar to that, Jim Rolfe, who's a huge supporter of the channel. In fact, he was the guy that Clark Man into LEGO Super Mario. He says, "Social Dilemma was a scary and enlightening trip. It was not really new information or maybe unexpected information, but it sure was scary in the details." He's referring to the documentary, which is on Netflix. You guys, everybody should watch that documentary. "I have not allowed any of my children any social accounts, and of course they are still young, but I still worry when they're just watching Netflix show or YouTube Kids or Disney Plus or anything that next suggestion for them may be age inappropriate. I would take the creator's advice and at least not give accounts to your kids until they are mature enough to deal with what might come at them. The thought leaders said 16, maybe, but I will reserve decision until I meet that 16-year-old son or daughter of mine, and they prove to me that they are capable of not getting taken down the depths the pitfalls of social media can offer. Scariest of all, beyond the impact to children, was the force behind simply moving people in a direction through targeted ads and posts." This is what scared me about the social dilemma. We all have a responsibility to police this, stay informed from multiple angles, not let our thoughts be so captured and so twisted that we lose sight that we are all here as one human race and should be doing what is best for the many and not the few. What a comment, man. There's so many points in there. The targeted ad stuff, though, and how you can be convinced of things and told things and sold on things just because they know what you want to see and what you want to know. It's scary. And this is, I think, more on Facebook than anything. Like YouTube, not so much. But even like the algorithm works on the videos. What's up, bud?
I got a friend for that guy.
We got Clark Man coming back.
I got a friend from the Machine Buster back there. Guess who it is? Molten Man.
Oh, yeah.
What happened to Molten Man?
I don't know. He got lost in the move. I wish I could find him.
Yeah.
What do you think about kids being on social media? What age should you be when you have access to computers and stuff?
I like computers because you can do all kinds of editing and all that fun stuff.
When do you think you should be allowed to have your own phone and computer and stuff? What age?
Like 6.
6? Get out of here. Kids these days. 6. Come on now. What do you think about that, Jim? Next one, though, comes from Locked Door. He says, "Hey, Greg, digital access is going to be a huge consideration for the rest of history, in my opinion. I'm not that old, but when I was a kid, the internet was not nearly as accessible, especially not on personal devices. I definitely have to agree with you. Having those personal devices unrestricted is super dangerous for those kids, especially younger kids who don't necessarily understand what the consequences may be. By the time I have kids, I'm sure the internet will be an even greater presence in the world." I think so. Next one comes from Lego Fan. This is Greg speaking as a 15-year-old. I love the fact that we're hearing from adults with kids, and also, I won't call you a kid because you're 15. You're grown up, but
You're a kid.
okay, you're a kid. Speaking as a 15-year-old from Lego Fan says, "Thinking responsibly, when I'm a parent and judging on my past failures, I would have my kids stay as far away from social media as possible. There are no pros to it in any way, especially because in one mistake you can ruin your life because everything you say and post is put on a cloud that can be used to cancel you. If I were you from a young age, I would be showing Clark the responsible thing to do. It is irrational to think that he will never get a phone in his teenage years or pre-teenage years. But the most important lesson to teach is about drugs and alcohol, and it's important to start at a young age. Also, last note, teach him that text can easily be screenshotted and used against you. Learning early that actions speak louder than words is very important. Obviously, nobody is perfect, but to start life knowing these lessons can be crucial. I'm just thankful my parent taught me these rules." That's good. It sounds like you have good parents, and you seem like you have a good head on your shoulders at 15. I wish I was that well-spoken at 15. Proud of you, man. Next one. And last one on this topic comes from Els Flint, huge supporter on the channel as well. It says, at my school in the UK, we had an American lady come and talk to us about her son, Breck Bednar, who was murdered by a man who we met online playing games. Heartbreaking, powerful, and educational. I recommend that all parents and people work with kids look it up, or who work with kids look it up. There are sadly some very devious kids out there, let's face it. All the scammers were kids once, many of them starting young. Yeah, it's craziness, man. This whole digital thing, I love all of the technology that we've been able to harness, the power of the internet and social media. And I just talked about all the friends that I've met, most of which I've never even met in person, all through this online space. But it's scary what kind of power it can have over you, especially when it comes to addiction, especially when you're younger and you do things like Lego Fan was talking about, where you say something or do something that maybe any other 8 or 9-year-old would do, but then it gets shared with everyone and can be devastating to your reputation and your entire life. It's wild. So I'm going to do my best. Clark certainly isn't getting a phone or anything when he's 6. I think it's going to be, who was it? I think it was someone earlier said, when they meet their 16-year-old son, I think that was Jim, when they meet his or her 16-year-old, they're going to make that decision then and see what they're like and maybe consider doing it then. That makes a lot of sense. But man, I think most kids by 16, and some of you can comment on this because I know there's only people that are 13 or older that are watching this. What was the age that you got a phone? And do you think that was a good age to have one? I think that would be a good follow-up for next week. We're going to jump from that, though, into the wins of the week. I appreciate all the feedback on that. It was really interesting and awesome to hear your guys' thoughts on those things. I thought that was a good topic to discuss, especially because it gets you thinking a little bit. But The Social Dilemma is the documentary. It's a little bit of a storyline in it, but it's a documentary featuring many of the creators of these social networks. And they talk about the dangers of it. It's on Netflix. If you have Netflix, which most of us do, I think, go ahead and give it a watch, especially if you felt like you've been one of those people that have been drugged down one of those paths where they're kind of in control of your life, because I think we've all been there a little bit. Maybe it's time to break out. Let's go into wins of the week, though. We got to take this out on a positive note. First one comes from Alex's Brickyard. It says, I woke up this morning looking forward to this because these episodes inspired me to want to make a YouTube video, which is hard for me right now because I'm going through cancer and I'm also stuck at home and I'm at high risk because when I was 4 months old, I had a heart transplant. My entire summer this year, I was stuck in a hospital, but I've gotten a lot of Lego sets. I'm sorry to hear that, my friend. It says, my win of the week is that I found my Lego store VIP card. Hey man, sometimes it's the small things. Something lost has now become found. You're missing it. Now you have it. Good thing to have when you're buying Lego sets, though. Next one comes from Tiny Guy Productions. It says, my win of the week was that I got to clean my desk in my room and finally have a space, and it feels so much better to have the clean space and do my homework and other things. Inspiring me, inspiring you guys. A clean space is just, it's lovely. Try doing that with a 5-year-old, though. Look at that table back there. Look at that table. Next one comes from Penn Plays. He says, win of the week. Starting to see some traction on the vids on my channel. I had some help by being invited into streams of some prominent LEGO YouTubers, but their kindness as well as what I'm seeing on my end is wonderful, and I won't take it for granted. I also get to start working at my job again after 7 months of furlough tomorrow. So excited to be back. Congratulations, man. I'm proud of you. Congratulations. Next one comes from Rex the Reviewer. I need Clark in these videos. This is fantastic. Rex the Reviewer says, hey, Greg, great podcast. My win of the week was playing the game Risk with my friends online. Also, if you're getting into working out, I'd recommend getting a pull-up bar. We have one. Clark, can you do a pull-up? Pull-up? Yeah, where you like pull up like that. Can you do one of those? On a bar?
No, I cannot do that. I'll fall and I'll hurt my back like Pat.
Okay, we don't want to do that with Clark, man. I can do a couple pull-ups. I should do a pull-up video, see what we can max out at. Next one comes from Mellow Cello. How do you like that name, Clark, man? I like that name. It says, hiya, Greg. I like that intro, too. Thank you, Echo. My win of the week was finding and surprising my little brother with a WWE action figure he's always wanted. Getting my parakeet to finally trust me. School is also overwhelming, and I'm not loving it. Sorry for the long comment. Stay off the octane. Dude, action figures? You hear that, Clark, man? We may be getting into it a little bit here. Jamie says, my win of the week was getting my biggest Lego set so far, which is the Architecture Statue of Liberty, which was almost 1,000 pieces more than my previous biggest set, which was the Hidden Side Bus. Anyway, love your videos and can't wait for more podcasts and videos. Also, I think you should put buying sets on hold and put the money that you would have spent on smaller sets toward the haunted house. Double VIP season is here, my friends, and on the 15th, they're giving away a little Mindstorms promo with a $100 purchase. So I can get, $25 off of that set and get that promo? I may do it. I have a big set here to build that I showed you earlier, though. It's Batmobile. I'm working on it. Anyways, next one comes from, and last one comes from ZG Brick Films. It says, I really liked how you mentioned that each week is something special because it truly is. Even when we don't see it. If there's one thing I've learned lately, it is to value every good moment in life and make the most of it. This semester of college is almost over already, and it's absolutely crazy to me. But luckily, I've been doing a lot and getting out there more in order to make the most of it. My win of the week is that I got a short film edited and entered into a competition this week. The process of editing was extremely stressful, but now that it's completed and submitted, I feel really accomplished, and the audience of the film has really enjoyed it so far, which is rewarding. I love that. I hope this audience enjoyed what we did here today. Thank you, Clark, man, for becoming my unexpected guest. Appreciated having you, my man. If you guys have any feedback that you'd like to give me for next week, I would love to hear it. If you have a win of the week or a loss of the week or whatever you have, throw it out there. I think you guys are the ones that make this podcast truly entertaining and special for me. This is my favorite thing that I do every week, and I just really appreciate you guys watching it. If you want to support this podcast, there's a couple things you can do. First of all, you can leave a comment. That's probably the most awesome thing you can do for me. You can leave a like on it if you'd like to. You can
drive on it with your Stormtrooper Lego figures.
You could do that, or you could join us on Patreon, which is awesome. You could subscribe to Brickitect Live, because we're going to be doing a stream there this afternoon, building the Batmobile. We'll be doing plenty more there. That's just reviving that channel, and it's going to be fun to do that. You can subscribe to Greg's World, where you can see me and Clark, or Clark and I should say, since I'm trying to be a teacher here. We're doing our daily activities over there. You could leave a review on Apple Podcasts. That's helpful as well. Or you could just enjoy this. That's all I can really ask for. So on that, guys, thank you so much for watching today's episode. We'll be back with you next week with another Missing Pieces. So until then, I just butchered the ending because I said that. Until then, we'll find you in the next Missing Pieces.